Okay, so once again, good morning all. So today we'll start with the new chapter, that is chapter number 5 of industrial engineering. The name of the chapter is facility locations and the plant layout. So if you go through this particular title of the chapter, that is facility location, this is the one concept, and the plant layout, this is the another concept. So in this particular chapter, we are going to discuss the two different concepts. One is related to the facility locations. So whenever we are selecting any site, whenever we are selecting any locations to start your organization, to start your business, to start your industry, at that time, what care should be taken, which principles we have to consider whenever I am selecting the site. So which factors I have to consider, that we are going to discuss in the part number 1, that is facility locations. And once your location is finalized, whatever the types of layout we are implementing in your organization, whatever the types of layout you are using in your organization, in your industry, that we are going to discuss in the part number 2 as a plant layout. Okay, so these are the two different concepts. Facility location, this is the part number 1 of the chapter number 5, and the plant layout, this is the part number 2 of the chapter number 5. So that two concepts we are going to discuss in this particular chapter number 5, because this particular chapter plays very important role. Because whenever we have to start your new business, whenever we have to start your new organization, at that time your location of your industry or the site of your industry, it plays very important role. Therefore, whenever I am selecting that particular location, whenever I am selecting that particular site, which factors we have to consider, that we are going to discuss in this particular chapter. If you go through this particular chapter, their syllabus, so you can see here the first, that is point A, factors affecting the site selection. The site selection, it is also called as a facility location. Site selection, it is also called as a facility location. So this is the overall syllabus of this particular chapter number 5, which is furtherly divided into the two different parts. Part A, factors affecting the site selection. So in that we are going to discuss intangible factor for the facility location, tangible factor for the facility locations, then advantages and disadvantages of the facility location in the urban and the rural areas. So mostly there are two factors we are considering, tangible factors and intangible factors. Means we can say primary and the secondary. So whenever I have to select the location for my industry, whenever I have to select the site for my industry, for my organization, for my business, so two important factors we are considering. In that, first one is called as a primary, which is called as a tangible factor. Primary means it plays very important role, and secondary means intangible factors. So some other factors rather than the primary factors, some another factors are also there which are considered under the intangible factor, or it is also called as a secondary factors. So that tangible factor and intangible factor, or primary and the secondary factors, we are going to discuss in the part number 1 under the factors affecting the site selection. Then one more important point is there, advantages and the disadvantages of the facility location in the urban and the rural areas. If the person or if any management, he has selected the urban areas to start their industry, then what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? That also we are going to discuss. In addition to that, if we are selecting our location in the rural areas, maybe villages are there. So if such locations are selected, what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? That we are going to discuss in this particular part number 1. And once we will cover this particular part number 1 related to the facility location, then we will move to the part B, which is called as a plant layout. Because once your location will be finalized, then you have to start your organization, you have to start your industry. But while starting that particular construction of your new industry, which type of plant should be there? Whether it is in circular manner, whether it is in square manner, whether it is in hump circle. So the layout should be designed in such a way that there should be the minimum backtracking. There should be the minimum backtracking, and your material and that operator has to travel minimum amount of distance. So like that, the layout should be design. But which type of layouts are there, which principles we are going to consider, that we will discuss in the part number B. But before that, we have to cover this particular first point, that is factors affecting on the site selection. So why this particular facility location or the site selection, it plays very, very important role, because whatever your maximum profit is there, maybe whatever your productivity is there, your production is there, your profit is there, that profit is mostly depends upon the facility location and their site selection. So whatever the profit you will get, it is mostly depends upon location of your industry, where it is located, whether it is located in the urban areas, whether it is located in the rural areas, or whether it is located in the MIDC areas, or whether it is located at maximum distance from that particular MIDC area. So therefore, whatever your maximum profit is there, that maximum profit is mostly based on the location of your organization or the location of your industry. Therefore, whenever we are selecting the location, whenever we are selecting the site for your industry, some of the factors we are considering. So which factors we are considering? So before, for site selection or for your facility location, these are the three phases which we have to take under the consideration. So what is the phase number one? Phase number one is called as a region selection. So which region we are selecting? Which region we are selecting to start your industry or to start your organization? Therefore, first phase we have to consider it as a region selection. So in this particular region selection, which factors we are considering? Your location should be nearness to the market. Your location should be the nearness to the market. So wherever the market facilities are available, near to that particular market facilities only, you have to start your industry. Because if your distance between the market and your industry, if it is very high or if it is maximum, at that time your cost will be increases, because whenever you have to purchase the new raw material from the market, you have to travel the maximum distance. Sometimes if your final product is there and you have to transfer that particular final product from your organization, from your industry to the market, again you have to travel the maximum distance. So in order to avoid such types of the difficulties, the first phase we have to consider during the site selection, which is called as a region selection. In that, the important point we have to consider it as a your factory or your industry should be the nearness to the market. So this is the first. Then second, climatic condition. Climatic conditions we have to consider. So if you are locating your industry, your organization at some water region areas, so maybe there is some another different types of the regions are there. So sometimes you are facing the difficulty due to the maximum water is coming, due to some another facilities are not available. Therefore, whenever we are starting your organization, your industry, at that time, the climatic conditions also we have to consider, because sometimes there is a rainy season is there, and due to that rainy season, if maximum waters are coming in your industry, at that time it is very difficult to start your plant. So in such conditions, whenever you are starting, whenever you are selecting the site, whenever you are selecting the facility location for your industry, climatic condition, it also plays very, very important role. Then another important factor is the sources of the raw material. So as we know that industry, it is one of the important concepts wherever we are converting your raw material into the finished goods. If the raw material is not available, then it is not possible to convert, or it is not possible to prepare the good products. So availability of raw material or the sources of the raw material, it plays very, very important role. Therefore, maximum times the raw material is available in the market. Therefore, you have to start your industry near to the market so you can purchase that particular raw material immediately. So you have to not travel the maximum distance to purchase that particular raw material. Sometimes you have to select or you have to take that particular raw material from the environmental areas. Maybe sometimes we have to use the wood. Sometimes maximum amount of water is also required. So wherever the water facilities are available, wherever the maximum raw material is available, sometimes the maximum times the wood is required. So if we can provide your industry near to that particular wood areas, so we can take that particular raw material So like that, sources of the raw material, that also we are considering under the region selection. Then second phase is called as a community selection. So what is meant by the community selection? So at sometimes if whatever your industry is there, it is not a fully automatic, because in case of a fully automatic industries, only sometimes the machines are automatic machines are there. Only the operator is required to start the machine and just to stop the machine. But sometimes some semi-automatic plants are there. Then some totally manually operated plants are there. At that time, the laborers are required, the workers are also required. So availability of laborers, it may be skilled operator, it may be unskilled operator. So availability of laborers, it plays very important role under the concept of community selection. If the laborers are not available, then it is not possible to start your organization. At least laborers are required to start the machine, to stop the machine, to remove the raw material, to hold the raw material. So whatever the such types of the simple activities are there, at least for that activities also laborers are required. If your plant is fully automatic, but many times the fully automatic plants are very less. Maximum it is as a semi-automatic, and it is as a fully manually operated. So in such conditions, the availability of labor, it will be considered under the phase 2, which is called as a community selection. Because availability of labor is in that, again we have to consider it as a skilled operator and the unskilled operator. So my screen is not visible, I think. So due to the power supply, it is not visible. I will share the screen once again. Let us wait for the 5 minutes. So we are discussing about the phase 2, which is called as a community selection. In that, availability of labor, community attitude, it is also plays very important role. Community attitude, because sometimes if you go through the urban areas, the community is there, union is there, union of that particular worker, union of the operator is there. Therefore, as per their union, you have to take the work from that particular operator. In availability of labor, if your plant is located at a maximum distance from the urban areas or from the rural areas, at that time what happens, that labor has to travel the maximum distance. So in such conditions, they are unable to travel the maximum distance. So what is your requirement? You have to start your industries near to the urban areas or near to the rural areas. So that operator has to not travel the maximum distance from one location to the, or from their location to the industry. Wait, I will share my screen first. So we are discussing with the phase number 2, which is called as a community location. In that community location, the maximum effect is related to the availability of labor. Then service facilities available. Sometimes Service facility available means you have to take the help of your another industry. So number of industries are located at one location. Some components we are manufacturing in your organization, in your industry. Some components we are manufacturing in the another industry. In such cases, whatever the facilities are available, whatever the service facilities are available, based on that only your site will be selected. If one part is manufactured at one industry and another part is manufacturing in the another industry, and what is our requirement? At the end, you have to do the assembly. But whatever the second part is manufacturing in the another industry, that industry is having the maximum distance from your industry. That means what happens? You have to take that particular component from that industry. You have to travel the maximum distance. So your traveling cost will be increases. Your labor cost will be increases. So in order to avoid such types of activity, in order to avoid such difficulties, what is the requirement? If you are converting your raw material into the finished goods by combining the 2 or 3 industries, so all such types of the 2-3 industries can be located at nearness of the location. So components can be manufactured at the different locations, but at the end, whenever we have to go for the assembly, that assembly can be made within a shortened period of the time. Therefore, whatever other service facilities are available, that is also considered under the phase number 2, that is under the community selection. Sometimes we have to hire some another facilities. Maybe if your machine is under the maintenance, if the breakage of the tool is taking place, the maximum maintenance is happening in your industry. So what is the requirement? You have to hire that particular person from market. We have to hire that particular person from another region. Then that person is coming. He is checking that particular machine. He is doing the maintenance. Again he waits. That means again whatever the persons we are hiring from the outside parties, again that person has to travel the maximum distance. We have to give the additional charges to them. We have to give the traveling charges to them. So like that continuously the cost is to be increases. Therefore, whatever the other service facilities we have to utilize, that also we are considering under the second phase, which is called as a community selection. Therefore, in the phase number 1, we are considering the sources of raw material, nearness to the market, climatic conditions, that all factors we are considering under the phase number 1. In the phase number 2, we are considering the availability of labor. It may be skilled operator, it may be unskilled operator, then community attitude, then second, service facilities available. All such type of the factors we are considering under the phase number 2. And phase number 3 is called as a particular site selection. So the particular site selection here, only one factor plays very important role, that is availability of land or availability of site. So whether the land is available at the rural areas or whether land is available at the urban areas, that factor also we have to consider. If we are starting your plant in the rural areas, so many difficulties we are observing, because whatever the manufacturing is there, therefore here one factor I have written, manufacturing is depends upon the urban utilities. Manufacturing is depends upon the urban utilities, because whatever the raw material we are converted into the finished goods, whatever the maximum output we are taking from that particular industry, the maximum utilization is taking place in the urban areas, because in the urban areas maximum utilization of the products are there, because in the urban areas only maximum requirement is there from the customer side. In the rural areas, sometimes the people, they are not using the advanced facilities, but in case of urban areas, the people or the customers, they are using the advanced facilities. Therefore, the maximum demand is there from the urban areas. If the maximum demand is there from the urban areas, your industry, your organization should be near to that particular urban areas only. But whenever I am starting my industry in the urban area, and if I have to select the site or if I have to purchase the site, at that time, before purchasing, first of all, I have to check the availability of land, whether land is available or not. And if it is available, what is the cost of that particular land? Because whenever I have to start the industry in the urban areas, the cost of that particular land in the urban areas is very, very high. And as you know that, if you take the example of this particular Pandharpur areas, near to the area of that particular Pandharpur, and if I have to purchase the land, you know there is a maximum cost to purchase that particular land. And if I have to purchase the land in the rural areas, whatever the small villages are available near to that particular Pandharpur, so there is a maximum cost difference. The cost in the rural areas and the cost in the urban areas, the maximum difference is there. Therefore, whenever I am selecting the site, whenever I am selecting the land, at that time, the availability of land, it plays very important role under the phase number 3. Then second factor we are considering under the third phase is the connected suppliers. There are so many suppliers are there, those who are supplying the raw material. The single raw material are not suitable for the industry. So many inputs are there. And if we have to take that particular number of inputs, whatever the suppliers are there, that suppliers, connected suppliers are also plays very important role. Because sometimes what happens, we are starting your industry in the urban areas or near to the big city, but the suppliers are not available. At one location, your industry is there, and at another point, the suppliers are there. He can supply all the necessary equipments, all the necessary raw materials, all the types of services, but the cost is more. So in such conditions, your location should be selected in such a way that whatever the number of supplies are there, whatever the number of inputs are there, that inputs you can take immediately within shortened period of time. Because in the industry, so many inputs are there, maybe raw materials are there. In that raw material, again, so many parameters are there. Different types of the metals are there, different types of the materials are there, different types of the equipments are there, some other facilities are there, some maintenance persons are there. So like that, so many suppliers are there, but all the suppliers should be connected with each other, so you will get that particular facility immediately. And third important thing is that requirement and availability of high-skilled labor. Two important things are there, unskilled labor and the skilled labor. So unskilled labor we are using sometimes for the transportation purpose, to taking the raw material from one location, kept at the another location, then to handle the material handling equipment, like that. For doing such types of the activities, unskilled operators are required, but highly skilled operators are required to handle the machines. Because whenever we have to handle that particular lathe machine, drilling machine, CNC machine, VMC machine, that particular person or that particular labor is having somewhat knowledge. If he is the unskilled operator and we are giving the lathe machine to him and handle it, so at that time he is unable to handle that particular machine. Therefore, whenever we are selecting the site, whenever we are selecting the location, you have to check whether any high skilled operators are available in that particular region or not. Therefore, maximum times you can see whatever the industries are there, that industries are available in the MIDCs areas. Because in the MIDCs, so many industries are there. If by mistakenly, if your machine is under the maintenance, then you can take that particular product, you can visit to the another industry and you can prepare that particular product in the another industry. We are giving the charges to them and immediately we can prepare. Therefore, whatever the maximum facilities are available related to the industries, it is available in the MIDCs areas. And some high skilled operators are also available. In your industry, sometimes if the maintenance person is not available, so what we are doing, we are calling to the third party, then third party will provide the maintenance person to them. Within fraction period of time, that person is visit to your industry, he will check your machine, immediately he will do the maintenance and again your machine will get started. Therefore, availability or requirement of the high skilled labor, it is also considered under the phase number 3. So these are the 3 important phases which we have to consider during the site selection and the facility location. Okay, so the first one, that is phase number 1, that is region selection, in which we are considering the market, we are considering the climatic condition, we are considering the sources of raw material. Under the second phase, we are considering the community. Community means availability of labor, other service facilities, then community attitude. Like that factors we are considering under the phase number 2. And in the phase number 3, these are the 3 points. Manufacturing depends upon the urban utilities. So maximum times from the urban area, the maximum requirement from the customer is there. Therefore, whenever we are starting your new business, whenever we are starting your new industry, it should be located near to the urban areas or near to the big cities. Connected supplier, maximum input is required from the other side. Therefore, whatever the number of supplies are there, it should be connected with each other, and all the such types of the supplies are available near to your industries only. And third one is called as a requirement on the availability of high skilled labor. So in order to start your plant, to handle all the types of the equipments, the skilled labors are required. So if your industry is in near to the city, so in the cities, the maximum high skilled labors are available, but in the rural areas, the maximum skilled labors are not available. Therefore, your location should be near to the city. So these are the three phases which we have to consider under the site selection and the facility location. Then factors affecting on the site selection and the facility location. Which factors we are considering? In that, there are two factors are there. One is called as a tangible, which is called as a primary. Tangible factors plays very important role. Therefore, that factors are called as a primary. Primary means it plays very important role. Primary means it plays very important role. Therefore, the tangible factors are called as a primary factor, and second factors are called as a intangible, which is also called as a secondary. So different types of the tangible factors are there, intangible factors are there. If you look at to the tangible factors in that, which is called as a primary, in that first one is called as a supply of raw material. It is very important role, or it plays very important role. That is raw material. If raw material is not available, then it is not possible to start your industry. If raw materials are not available, then there is no use of labor, then there is no use of advanced machineries, there is no use of any advanced equipments. What is our requirement? We have to convert your raw material into the finished goods as per the customer requirements. So what is the first requirement of the tangible factor, primary factor? That is supply of raw material. Raw material will be needs in the different forms. Maybe we are using the different types of the metal sheets, we are using the different types of the woods, we are using the different types of the another important, whatever it is required in the industry. Therefore, supply of raw material, it plays very important role under the tangible factor, and it plays under the primary concept. Okay. Then nearness to the market, tangible factor. Whatever your industry is there, whatever your location of the site is there, it is nearness to the market. So why market is important? Because whenever we have to purchase the new raw material from that particular market, immediately we can travel some minimum amount of distance and we can purchase that particular raw material, and immediately we can start your plant. Once your product is ready, you have to transfer that particular product into the market. You can take that particular product immediately. You have to travel some minimum amount of distance, and immediately your product can be launched in that particular market. But if the distance between your industry and market is very high, unnecessarily the traveling cost goes on increasing. Unnecessarily the traveling cost goes on increasing. Therefore, in order to avoid such type of the situation, first of all, check whether near to your industry, whether some type of market is available or not. If the market is available, immediately you can take that particular land and you can start your plant. So nearness of the market, this is the one primary factor. Transportation facility, it is also plays very important. Transportation facilities. So whenever I have to take the raw material from the market, whether that transportation facilities are available or not, because maximum times we are purchasing that particular raw material in bulk. Whenever we are purchasing the sheet metals, whenever we are purchasing the woods, at that time we are purchasing that particular raw material in the bulk. But whenever I have to take that particular raw material from that particular market to my industry, whether transportation facility is available or not. Sometimes the road facilities are not available. So in that case, it is very difficult to take that particular raw material from that particular market to the industry. Therefore, you have to check whether transportation facilities are available or not, or some heavy duty machines are there, some heavy duty components are there that we have to purchase from the market. Some another big components are there that we have to take from the another industry. So to take that particular component, some road facilities are required, some another machines like tractors, some big conveyors, some trucks are required. So to take that particular trucks, tractors from that particular market to the industry, the proper transportation facility also we have to check. If the transportation facility is not available, so in that case, we can take that particular raw material, no problem. But the transportation cost is goes on increasing. So if your location, location of your industry is near to the rural areas, or it is in any type of village, you know the condition of the roads of all the types of villages. Very small roads are available. Very small roads are available, and on that particular roads, if we are taking your raw material with some heavy trucks and heavy tractors, at that time they are facing so many situations. So in order to avoid such types of the difficulties, first of all we have to check whether proper transportation facilities is available or not. If it is available, then immediately we can select that particular site for your further manufacturing. Okay, so we have to check the transportation facility, and it will be considered under the tangible factor, or it will be considered under the primary factor. Then power availability. Without power, without electricity supply, the industry will not be started, because whenever we are using the different types of the equipments, whenever we are using the different types of the machines, so to start that particular machine, the important thing is power or the electricity is required. If electricity is not available, power is not available, it is not possible to start the machine, it is not possible to start the equipment. Sometimes some small operations are there, it can be performed by the operator itself. But sometimes whatever the heavy duty components are there, whatever the heavy duty application components are there, at that time the power is required, because by using that particular power we have to handle the machines, and by using that particular machines we have to convert the raw material into the finished goods. Therefore we have to check the power availability is there or not. Therefore if you check in the MIDC areas, 24 hours the power supply is there. In the MIDC areas, the 24-hour power supply is there. But if you think about our rural areas, the maximum times the load shedding is there, and in such conditions, if we are starting our plant in the rural areas, and due to that particular load shedding, your plant is not continuously started, and it will be effects on your overall development, overall profit. Therefore, we have to check whether power availability is there or not, proper electricity supply is there or not, because in industry, if there is a power off, the maximum wastage is taking place. So to avoid such types of the situations, maximum times the industries are located in the MIDC areas only. Why? Because all the facilities are available in the MIDC areas in the form of all the types of transportation facilities are there. Then power continuously 24 hours power supply is there. But therefore, this power availability, it also plays very important role under the tangible factor, or it is one primary source. Then next is called as a supply of labor. Supply of labor. So labor, it is also considered under the tangible factor. Why? If the labors are not available, so sometimes it is not possible to work. It is not possible to convert raw material into the finished goods. Automatic machines are available, no problem. But at least to start that particular machine, to stop that particular machine, to hold the component on that particular machine, to take that finished component from that particular machine, labors are required. It may be unskilled labor, but therefore supply of labor also is very important role. So whenever, if we have started your industry in the MIDC areas, maximum times the labors are available. So supply of the labor, it also plays very important role. Therefore, it will be considered under the tangible factor or under the primary sources. Then supply of required machinery. Supply of required machinery means your equipment, whatever the equipment, whatever the machineries we are using to convert your raw material into the finished goods. So many suppliers are available. So supply of required machineries, it also plays under the tangible factor. Sometimes if your machine is under the maintenance, so immediately you can take that particular component, you can visit to the another industry, and you can prepare that particular product immediately. So such types of the facilities are also available in the MIDC area, or maximum times it is available in the urban areas only. In case of a rural area or in case of a villages, if any machine is not available, then you have to take that particular component, you have to visit to the city areas, you have to prepare it, and again you have to come back. So that means your transportation cost will goes on increasing. So whenever we are selecting the site or the facility location, maximum times we have to focus on the urban areas only, because whatever this all the primary resources are there, these primary resources are available in the urban areas. In the rural areas, some advantages are also there, some disadvantages are also there. But whatever this particular primary resources are there, maximum times it is available in the urban areas only. So these are the tangible factors, which is called as a primary sources. It is very important. Without this particular tangible factor, your industry will not be started. So therefore, these factors are called as a primary resources or the primary factors. Then second, intangible factors, which is called as a secondary resources. Intangible factor means natural factors. What is meant by the natural factors here? So here we have to take some environmental conditions, some natural factors, some rules and regulations are there, government rules and regulations are there, natural factors are there. So sometimes we have to utilize some of the raw material from the environment. Maybe we are using the woods, we are using some other types of the different types of the resources which are naturally available in the environment. But in that case, so it is not possible to directly use from that particular environment. So for that purpose, we have to take the special permissions from that particular city persons or from that particular government, from that particular Nagar Panchayat. So like that, some rules and regulations are there. So you have to take the prior permission to utilize that particular natural resources. Therefore, it will be considered under the secondary factors. Then government policies. Some government policies are there. Whenever I am starting the industry in the urban area, or it may be in the rural areas. In the urban areas, maybe there is a Mahanagarpalika is there, some government facilities are there. In the rural areas, in the villages, maybe your Nagar Panchayat is there, then Gram Panchayat is there. So whenever I am starting that particular new industry, maybe in the urban areas or maybe in the rural areas, as per the government policies, you have to take into the considerations. You have to take the prior permission from that particular location areas or from that particular area, and then we will start that particular industry. Therefore, it will be considered under the secondary factor. It is not that much important, but you have to take the permission. Maximum times in the villages also, that Gram Panchayat will give the permission. So you have to pay some charges as per the government requirement to. Then in the urban areas also, maybe your Nagar Parishad is there. So like that, whatever the municipal facilities are there, that will be easily available if we will pay some charges to them as per their requirement. Then immediately they will give the permission and you can start your industry. Then under the secondary, government subsidies and the other facilities. Some government subsidies are also available to start your industry. So maximum subsidies are available for the women. If any woman is starting the new business, so at that time the maximum government subsidies are available to start the industry. Maybe some 50% subsidies there, some 80% subsidies there. So like that, government subsidies are also available under the intangible factor, and you can take the benefit of that particular government subsidies. Then social facilities. So whatever the industries we are implementing, so any social facilities are available or not. So whatever your raw material is converted into the finished goods, and whatever the final product is coming from that particular industry, by how much percentage it will be useful for that particular community, or how much percentage it will be useful for the social application, that we are considering under the social facility. And last one is called as a miscellaneous factor. Miscellaneous means others which are not considered under the natural factor, government policies, government subsidies, social facilities are there. Rather than this, whatever another important facilities are there, that will be considered under the miscellaneous factors. So these are the different types of the factors which we have to consider during the site selection. It is not possible directly you have to visit to that particular location and directly we have to purchase that particular land for starting your organization. Before that, we have to check these tangible factors and intangible factors, whether it is available or not. During the site selection, we have to check whether raw material is available or not, nearness to that particular site, whether market is there or not, proper transportation facilities available or not, electricity supply is available or not, some skilled laborers, unskilled laborers are available or not, then some another machineries, if I have to take that machineries, additional machineries are available or not. That factors also we have to consider during selection of that particular site. And rather than this, some intangible factors means some natural factors, some government policies. You have to take the prior permission from that particular government. You have to utilize some government subsidies. Some social facilities are available or not. So, like that tangible factor as well as intangible factors we have to consider. And if all these particular factors are satisfied, then and then only we can go for finalizing that particular land or finalizing that particular site. So these are the tangible factors, that is primary, and intangible factors as a secondary. This much factors we have to consider during the site selection. In these particular factors, some factors are not available. Sometimes you have to travel the maximum distance from market to the industry. No problem. Sometimes your transportation cost will be increases, but the transportation facility should be available in good manner. So big roads should be available. So that big tractors, big trucks, they can easily come from that particular market to the industry. So no problem, your transportation cost will be increases, but it should be available in the good manner. So like that, these are the tangible and intangible factors we have to consider during the site selection. Then advantages and disadvantages of the facility location in the urban areas. Advantages and the disadvantages of the facility location in the urban areas. So when I have finalized that location of my industry in the urban areas, so what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? So first, urban areas, if my industry in the urban areas, I am having advantages that excellent communication network. So whenever I have to communicate with my third party, whenever I have to communicate with another industry, whenever I have to communicate with some another important resource persons, at that time, excellent communication network will be available. Because if you think about the mobile network, the good mobile network is available in the urban areas, in the good cities areas. And sometimes if you have to go for the physical communication, immediately you can go to the another industry, immediately you can communicate with that particular third person. That third person will become, he will check your plant, and whenever it is modifications are required, some maintenance are required, immediately he will do it. That means in the urban areas, the excellent communication network is available. Then good transportation facility for the raw material and the people. So whenever I have to purchase the raw material from the market, so good transportation facilities are available, because in the urban areas, whatever the road facility is provided, their size of that particular road is very high, or many times whatever the MIDCs areas are there, that MIDC areas are also available in the urban areas only. Therefore, in case of that particular MIDC area, if you visited maximum times during our industrial visit, maximum times we have visited in the MIDC areas. If you check whatever the road facilities are available in the MIDC areas, so that transportation facility is also very, very good. So good transportation facilities available for material as well as for the people. Sometimes we have to take that particular people from the city, because in the MIDC area, the peoples are not there. So you have to take that particular peoples from the city. So for that also, again, some facilities are provided by the industry, transportation provided by the industry, that is buses are provided. So to take that particular peoples from that particular city, the bus facility should be provided. That means good transportation facility for the material and the people. Availability of skilled and the trained manpower. Skilled persons are required, and maximum skilled persons are available in the urban areas only, because in the urban areas all the types of facilities are available. So maybe good education is there, some other important facilities are there, some training institutes are there. Maximum times education, it plays a very important role. Therefore, whatever the maximum skilled operators are there or trained manpower is there, it is available in the urban areas. Then excellent sourcing or subcontracting facilities. Sometimes we are giving contract to the third party. We have to manufacture one product, and in that particular product, some of the products we are manufacturing in our industry, and some products we are giving to the third party. So third person, he is manufacturing that particular product, and then he will supply back to him, and then at the end we are doing the assembly. So in such condition, the excellent sourcing and subcontracting facilities are available. Therefore, I have given the example of MIDC. In the MIDC area, some small industries are there. Whatever nuts, bolts, screws we are using. So such type of the small components we are taking from the third party. So we are giving the contract as per our requirement. He has to manufacture the nut, he has to manufacture the bolt, he has to manufacture the screw, and he is supplying that particular nut, bolt, screws to our industry, and we can directly utilize. And such types of the facilities are available in the urban areas only. Then good education and the medical facilities. Good education, obviously you know that in the urban areas, in the big cities, whatever the education facilities are there, maybe education related to the engineering, then polytechnic colleges, then some other medical colleges are there. So good education is available in the urban areas only, and medical facilities. So whatever the big hospitals are there, that big hospital services are also available in the urban areas. And last one, availability of service consultants, training institute, and the training. Service consultants. Sometimes if you have to do the maintenance of your machine, so what we'll do, immediately you will make the phone calls to the third party, and you are asking for that particular maintenance process. Within 1 hour or within half hour, that maintenance process is coming. He's checking the machine, he will do the maintenance. Within 1.5 hours, your machine will get started. But if your location, if your industry in the rural area, then that person has to come from that particular city, he has to travel the maximum distance. So like that, transportation cost is goes on increasing. Therefore, availability of service consultants, some training institutes are there, some trainers are there, all such types of the facilities are available in the urban area. Therefore, these are the advantages. But there is some disadvantages are there for the urban areas. What is that? Land cost is very high as compared to the rural area. So whenever I have to purchase the land in the urban areas, in the city, the cost of that particular land in the urban areas is very high as compared to the rural area. In the rural areas, you will get the land in a minimum amount of cost, because the maximum cost is not there in the rural areas or in the villages. But in case of a urban area, the land cost is very high. So this is a major disadvantage. Labor cost is high due to union activities. In the urban areas, union is there, you know, in the industries, union is there. If one person, there is one union is there, and in that particular union, one person is there who is handling that particular union. Sometimes there is a strike is there in the industries. So all the laborers are comes together, and they are doing the strikes. So why it is happening? Because union is there in the urban areas, and due to that particular union, the labor cost is increases. Because as per the requirement of that particular union, you have to give the salary, you have to give the additional wages to them. And when it is happening, if the union is there, if all the laborers are comes together and they are thinking that today we have to not visit to that particular industry, not a single person is visiting to that particular industry. So due to that, what happens? Your production cost goes on decreasing, and sometimes your industry will be in loss. So such types of the union activities are available in the urban areas, due to which labor cost is very high. Management labor relations are influenced by the union activities, and due to that particular union activities, there is no proper relation between the management and the labor, and it will be effects on your overall development. So this is the major disadvantage. That means in the urban areas, the maximum times due to that particular union, the labor cost is increases, and there should not be proper relation between the management and the labor. Then municipal and other authorities restrictions on the buildings. So you know that in the urban areas or in the cities, that municipals or that particular authority persons are sanctioning the FSI. You know about FSI. So whenever we are starting our building, how many floors are sanctioned from the municipal? 3rd floor, 4th floor. Up to that only we have to satisfy. But if we have to increase that particular number of floors, again you have to take the prior permission from that particular authority, municipal area. That means some restrictions are there in the urban areas, but such types of restrictions are not there in the rural areas. Okay, therefore the maximum restrictions are there from the municipals, from other authorities related to the buildings. Okay, then higher labor turnover. So some skilled operators are there, unskilled operators are there. So if I have to hire that particular unskilled operators from that particular city, we have to give the maximum amount of salary to them. Therefore, higher labor turnover is there. Because in the city, if you think what is the salary we are giving in the urban areas and what is the salary we are giving in the rural areas, the maximum difference is there. So in the urban areas, we have to give the maximum amount because this is the requirement. Due to that particular union activities, we have to give the maximum amount to the city persons. But if you think about the rural areas, in the rural areas, you have to give some minimum amount as per the requirements and you can take the work from that particular labor. So these are the advantages and the disadvantages of the urban areas. Some advantages are also there, some disadvantages are also there. The advantages are very good. That is, excellent good communication will be there, proper transportation available will be there, skilled operators, skilled laborers are available in the urban areas, good education facilities there, medical facilities there. But one major disadvantage is there for the urban area is the land. Cost of that particular land is very, very high. And there is some restrictions from the government. There is restrictions from the government. These are the major advantages and the disadvantages for the urban areas. Again, we are having the advantages and the disadvantages of the site location for the rural areas also there, because advantages and disadvantages are there for the urban areas. Similarly, the advantages and the disadvantages are there for the rural areas also. That we will discuss in the next lecture. So with this, today we will stop here. The remaining we will take in the next lecture.